So is the line actually failing? Over the last few months, there have been non-stop rumors saying Saudi Arabia quietly reduced its giant futuristic city project. Some reports claimed the line was shrinking from 170 kilometers down to just a few kilometers. Others said the project was simply too expensive to finish. But here's the strange part. Despite all the criticism, construction is still happening right now in the Saudi desert. Excavators are still moving. Billions of dollars are still being spent. And Saudi Arabia is still pushing forward with Vision 2030. So what's really happening? Is the line still the future of urban living? Or is this becoming the most expensive experiment in modern history? Because once you look deeper into the numbers, the construction updates, and Saudi Arabia's long-term strategy, you realize this project is much bigger than just one city.
Why Saudi Arabia started Vision 2030? Now, before we talk about the line itself, we first need to understand why Saudi Arabia started these giant projects in the first place. For decades, Saudi Arabia's economy depended heavily on oil. In some years, oil revenues made up nearly 70% to 80% of government income. And for a long time, that worked extremely well. Saudi Arabia became one of the wealthiest countries in the Middle East. But Saudi leaders understood something important. Oil alone cannot guarantee the future forever. Global energy markets are changing. Countries are investing in renewables. Electric vehicles are growing fast. And over time, oil demand may eventually slow down.
So in 2016, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman launched Saudi Vision 2030. The goal was to completely transform the Saudi economy before the post-oil era arrives. That means investing heavily into tourism, technology, AI, logistics, renewable energy, sports, entertainment, and infrastructure. And honestly, the amount of money involved is almost unbelievable. Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, also known as the PIF, now manages around $925 billion. That makes it one of the largest sovereign wealth funds in the entire world. And this fund is financing massive projects across Saudi Arabia. But out of all of them, one project completely shocked the world. The Line. The project that looked like science fiction. When Saudi Arabia officially revealed The Line back in 2021, people genuinely thought it looked impossible. The concept sounded more like something from a futuristic movie than a real construction project. A city stretching 170 kilometers long, with no roads, no cars, no traffic, and powered entirely by renewable energy. Instead of expanding outward like normal cities, the line would rise vertically. Two giant mirrored skyscraper walls running across the desert. And the dimensions are absolutely insane. The Line. Original design. Length, 170 kilometers. Height, 500 meters. Width, 200 meters. Planned population, 9 million residents. End-to-end travel time, 20 minutes. Saudi Arabia claimed people would have access to schools, hospitals, parks, and daily services within only 5 minutes walking distance. Now, naturally, the internet exploded after this announcement. Some people called it revolutionary. Others said it was impossible fantasy. But regardless of opinions, everyone started talking about Saudi Arabia. And honestly, that alone was already a major success. Because The Line instantly became one of the most famous mega projects on Earth.
What has actually been built? Now, here's where things become interesting. A lot of people online think The Line is fake, but that's not true. Massive construction activity is already visible from satellite images. Huge excavation zones stretch across the desert. Thousands of workers and machines are active on site, and billions have already been spent. Construction activity includes deep excavation trenches, foundation piling systems, underground infrastructure, worker camps,
logistics hubs, transportation corridors, utility systems. Some analysts believe the excavation work alone already ranks among the largest earth-moving operations happening anywhere in the world. But here's the important part. Most of the progress so far is foundational. The giant mirrored skyscraper walls shown in promotional renders are not fully visible yet. And honestly, that makes sense. Because before building something this massive above ground, you first need enormous underground infrastructure, especially in a harsh desert environment.
The huge 2026 reality check. Now let's talk about the biggest controversy surrounding the line right now, the scaling back rumors. Over the last 2 years, reports began claiming Saudi Arabia quietly reduced the project from 170 kilometers to only around 2.4 kilometers for the first major phase before 2030. And naturally, people online immediately started saying, the line failed. But Saudi officials strongly denied that interpretation. Instead, they described the line as a modular long-term project, meaning the city was always intended to be built in phases. And honestly, that explanation actually makes sense. Think about it. Building a normal skyscraper already takes years. Now imagine trying to build a city longer than the distance between entire metropolitan regions. Projects like this take decades. Even normal mega projects constantly evolve during construction. So what we're seeing right now may simply be the first realistic phase, not the final version.
The money problem. But now we need to talk about the real issue, the cost. Because the line is unbelievably expensive. Early estimates suggested the broader NEOM project would cost around $500 billion. But newer estimates became much more shocking. Some reports now suggest the total long-term cost of the line and related infrastructure could eventually approach $8.8 trillion. And honestly, that number is difficult to even imagine. For comparison, Saudi Arabia's GDP is around $1.1 trillion. Many countries have economies smaller than this project's estimated cost. And despite all the criticism, Saudi Arabia has already spent enormous amounts.
Estimated spending so far, around $50 billion plus already spent by 2025. Major excavation completed, infrastructure systems expanding, construction teams active daily. But financing remains a challenge. According to Reuters, Saudi Arabia forecasted a $44 billion budget deficit for 2026, and oil prices remain extremely important to Saudi Arabia's economy. Analysts estimate the country often needs oil prices near $80 per barrel to comfortably support spending plans. That's why Saudi Arabia is aggressively searching for investors, partnerships, global companies, and private financing. In fact, reports from 2026 revealed NEOM secured $32 billion in new financing for Phase 1 development, which proves investors still believe parts of the project can succeed. The other massive projects. Now, here's something many people don't realize. The line is only one piece of Vision 2030. Saudi Arabia is building entire futuristic regions simultaneously. For example, Oxagon, a giant industrial and logistics hub designed for advanced manufacturing. Trojena, a futuristic mountain tourism destination with skiing facilities. Sindala, a luxury tourism island targeting wealthy international visitors. Qiddiya, a massive entertainment city featuring theme parks, esports, and sports stadiums. Saudi Arabia is also building giant airports. One of the biggest is King Salman International Airport. Planned airport statistics. Area, 57 square kilometers. 6 parallel runways. Passenger target by 2030, 120 million passengers annually. Passenger target by 2050, 185 million passengers annually. Saudi Arabia clearly wants to become a global tourism and transportation hub. And honestly, they are moving incredibly fast. But by 2026, something important started changing. Saudi Arabia began focusing more heavily on AI, data centers, advanced technology, logistics, and economic infrastructure. According to Reuters, Saudi Arabia is now prioritizing digital infrastructure investments much more aggressively. And honestly, this could actually be a smarter long-term strategy. Because futuristic buildings alone do not guarantee economic success, but technology infrastructure does. So Vision 2030 itself is evolving. The flashy megaprojects are still important, but Saudi Arabia now seems more focused on building long-term economic systems behind them.
At the end of the day, the line is no longer just a city project. It has become a global experiment, a test of engineering, a test of economics, and honestly, a test of whether a country can reinvent itself within a single generation. Will the final version look exactly like the original CGI renders? Probably not. Will the timelines continue changing? Almost certainly. But one thing is very clear. Saudi Arabia is still trying to build something humanity has never attempted before. And whether the line fully succeeds or not, Vision 2030 is already transforming the Middle East in real time. If you enjoyed this video and want more updates on global mega projects, futuristic cities, and hidden infrastructure, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because the biggest projects on Earth are no longer just about construction. They're about who controls the future.